Hey guys, Fix Flipper here. Today a client came to me because they're having a problem with warped rotors. So I'm going to show you how to change pads and rotors on a 2016 Honda Odyssey at home. All the tools that you're going to need are laid out on this table. Besides the things you see here on this table, you will have to lift the car. So you're going to need a way to lift the car and jack stands for safety. Some protective gloves and some goggles are definitely recommended. In the video, you are going to see me use some different tools besides the tools on this table, but I will have you know that they are not necessary. This is the bare minimum for what you're going to need to safely perform a brake job. The particular dealership that this client went to tried to charge her $900 for just turning the rotors. So there's no parts included in that. $900 just for labor. I'm going to show you how you can get brand new brakes with OEM quality for $450 and do the job yourself. First things first, you need to get the car up off the ground. In the rear of the car, to lift both rear tires, there is this piece right here and it's sticking out of the subframe. On the back, you're gonna lift the car until both wheels are off the ground. This is the wheel well here, looking right under. There's going to be jacking points on four corners of the car. When you have your jack stands in place, you're gonna lower your hydraulic jack. After you have your wheel removed, you're going to remove this screw right here. So if this screw gets stuck, you can use a strip screw remover or you can drill it out. So we'll take that out really quick. Next, what you're going to want to do is remove your caliper bolts. You have one here, and you have a second here. Once the caliper bolts have been removed, you can pull forward here to compress the piston, and you can remove the caliper like so. As you can see, I have a bungee cord. I'm just gonna wrap that through around the hole in the caliper and hang it up so there's no weight on the brake line behind here. After you've got your caliper off, you're going to remove the caliper bracket. There are two bolts, one here. Inspect your caliper slide pins and make sure that they move. Everything functions correctly. The next thing you're going to want to do is pop off these tabs. You're going to want to remove those. Don't reuse these, just get brand new ones because they will cause you problems if you try and use them again. After you have the bracket removed, remove this rear brake. The parking brakes on these are brake drum parking brakes. If you had more wear on the inside ring, inside there, where these pads touch, all you would have to do is loosen them with this star adjustment wheel. Next thing you're going to want to do is in this area here where the clips contact, you're going to want to get a wire brush or a wire wheel and remove all the corrosion out from here. And then after you remove the corrosion, just spray it down with a little brake clean to get all of the residual rust and brake dust and all that off of this area. The next thing you're going to want to do is remove these pins from their boots, and you're going to remove this pin all the way out. Let's get some brake lubricant, and what we're going to do is just apply a little coat of that on, and then I'm using a clean part of the rag so I don't have to get my fingers all dirty. We're just gonna lubricate this pin, reinstall the pin. On your slide you'll see this lip. This boot has to go over this lip, just like so. Get a little bit more of your silicone-based lubricant for brakes, and you're gonna apply it, same thing, to the opposite side. Right where the little ears of the brake pads sit. So these little ears right here, right in these slots, you're gonna add a little bit more silicone grease. We're gonna spray this mating surface down with just a little bit of brake clean. We're gonna apply some anti-seize to the surface, preventing any rust welding. Once the anti-seize has been applied, you can install our new rotor. When you do get a new rotor, it will be covered in a grease to stop it from corroding straight from the manufacturer. Just get yourself some brake clean and a rag, and you're gonna spray the rotor down, and you're going to wipe it with a paper towel. This has already been done off camera. Once you have your caliper bracket fully prepared, you're going to want to get yourself a tad of blue Loctite and install your bolts. Torque spec for the caliper bracket bolts is 101 foot-pounds. Pop the front pad in. For the rear pad, we have to install a wear indicator, and we're going to put them in. Ow, ouch. We're going to install this brake pad. Alright, and once you have your pads installed, throw on a clamp, which will make it easier to install these springs that when you let off the brake, release the pads from the rotor. Without this clamp, both the brake pads would just pop off at this point. On the back of your pad, you want to install, or apply rather, a little bit more brake grease. Alright, so I have the calipers slightly slid on here, enough to hold the springs, and then what I'm going to do is back out my clamp and just let the caliper hold everything in for me, and then I'm going to get the caliper into position and install our bolts here like so. When I get the torque wrench out, I will be torquing these to 37 foot-pounds. Be sure not to forget the little plug that opens into the parking brake inspection port. Before you reassemble everything, you just want to make sure to give this one more clean over with the brake clean. Put on your tire, you're good to go. The center jacking point for a hydraulic jack is right there. And then again, we have the pinch weld on each side. For the front brakes, be sure to hold the nut that you see the wrench going on to here, because it will spin on the front brakes, but it won't do that on the back brakes. There's one on the top and one down here on the bottom. You can suspend your caliper with the bungee. Pick one. Okay. So from this point on, the job is pretty much identical to doing the rear brake. You're just going to repeat the exact same process. Be sure to use Loctite where necessary, and prepare your front caliper bracket just as you did the rear one. The front bracket bolts still have a torque spec of 101 foot-pounds, and the caliper bolts still have the torque spec of 37 foot-pounds. Everything's gone smoothly. We reattached this clip to hold the brake line in, greased the slide pins, torqued both bolts down, both bolts for the caliper and both bolts for the caliper bracket, and everything is good. While everything is off, it is a good time to do an inspection on everything. And look what I have just noticed. That CV axle boot is starting to tear. If you look behind here, you can see on this one, that's what it's supposed to look like. This one is much darker in color, and that color is the grease starting to come out of the CV axle. It's not been slinging around too much on the transmission so far or on the subframe, but eventually it's going to have to be replaced. Always good to be alert, pay attention to stuff like this. I can sell this job to the customer and see what the customer wants to do. I finished the brakes on the other side of the vehicle off camera and went for a test drive, and this vehicle stops perfectly. There's no more warped rotors, and there is no squeaking and no noise. The customer was super happy, and we were able to get them a price that was way lower than what a local Honda dealership was asking for. I hope this video helps somebody, and this has been another addition to the Fixer Flipper YouTube channel. Be safe, guys.